Swing and a drive, left field, get up, ball, get out of here, and gone.
For the first time in podcast history, it's just me and Nate.
That's not true. We've done this before.
No, I don't think Connor says
Yeah,
he's
we
never
have.
missed an episode.
No, that's not true. We've definitely
Yeah?
done this before.
He told me he's never missed an episode. So,
Yeah, well, he's full of shit.
well, here we are anyways. We could not work in 3 of us. And seeing as Nate missed the last 2, I figured we'd do it this way instead of the other way.
Well, we couldn't work around one person's schedule.
Yeah. Well, Connor and I could have done it in the day, or you and I could have done it at night. There was no real situation that
we couldn't make it all work with your schedule.
No, yeah, my schedule is a nightmare.
Brent's got to go see a movie tonight, so
yeah. Well, we still wouldn't have got it done. Connor's still working. Either way, here we are, me and you, gonna get this done.
It's been a busy week.
It has been a very busy week. This is the longest run sheet we've had in a long time.
Since I've been on here.
Yeah. I don't even know if we've had one this long, honestly. So we might as well. You want to start with trades, or do you want to start with the actual games?
You can run me through the games because I don't know how much I watched.
I kind of caught some of the. I don't know if I actually sat down and watched any of the Rangers games. We were together for some of those.
Oh, we were. We swept the Rangers,
they swept.
didn't we?
Yes, that's the second
sweep
sweep of the year. The first one doesn't even really count because it was the White Sox. But yeah, the first sweep of the year came in that Rangers series. We were never going to lose again after that, and then we lost.
I love that the only thing in all capitals on this run sheet that I see is El Bombi Bomb.
Yeah. Why?
Tell where Connor's allegiances are now.
Literally.
Another team that's not going to make the fucking playoffs.
We won that game, and I couldn't even tell you which ones are ours.
No.
Jimenez is that what's his name? Our Jimenez? I assume so. Well, that game 1 of that series ended up being Yusei Kikuchi's final Blue Jays. Oh, I was at that game.
Yeah, you were.
I was at that game.
You asked me to go with you.
It was actually a really good game.
Yeah, I watched it. That was a good game.
Yeah, it was a lot of back and forth. And then Ernie had a walk-off single that I straight up didn't even see. It was like I turned to talk to Kurt, and all of a sudden it was like, boom. And we're like, fuck, what happened? But
man, Ernie's been a dog.
Yeah.
I just picked him up in fantasy, too. This is unreal. He's a usable piece.
He's been good. He's not a guy that I think if you're going to be a competitive team, I don't think he's going to start every day.
No, but I think
he's
you've
useful.
got enough runway, and the infielders we have right now, I think give him some runs, see what he can do with legit playing time, and see if he can tap into something, unlock something.
Because there's nobody that's going to come in and take his spot right now.
No, that's the thing, right? So
it makes sense. I'm not the biggest Ernie fan personally, but I think he's been hitting well for at least a month. That he's just kind of comes through when it matters, and
he's had a strong month.
Yeah, he doesn't hit the ball far, but he hits the ball hard. If that makes sense.
He seems like he comes up with timely hits. Like it seems like he's kind of clutch.
Like he was hitting when we were in Baltimore. There, he was hitting a lot of line shots that you knew weren't leaving the yard, but they were hard hit balls into the gaps and stuff. And I think that's just where Ernie's going to play for probably his whole career. It's just those little gap shots that just beat the outfielders, and you'll get extra bases out of it. And you'll get the odd homer.
He's got enough speed that plays. Like he's a good enough base runner that shooting balls into the gap, taking the extra base when you can.
Yeah, it's huge. He's not going to be the guy that hits line shots over the wall in Baltimore because it's forever away, but he doesn't have to be.
I wouldn't hate him being your 9-stick next year and playing an above average defensive third base.
Yeah.
I think he could be a competitive team with
He scares me defensively just because everything he does seems really difficult. Even like the routine plays just seems like he makes it really hard, but he does make the play 98% of the time, which is fine. The rest of the series, I really don't even remember. I just know they won. Barrios carved in the last game. I'm pretty sure. And yeah, that was that.
Oh yeah, I listened to part of that one on the radio.
Yeah, I think I did too.
That's good to see because he's been kind of
Hmm.
dicey recently. So him
Hmm.
turning it around is good.
Hmm. And then Gosman, I think, also pitched well, but don't quote me on that. I don't know. I don't remember a ton of the Rangers series.
Pre-run CG, I'd say.
Yeah, that's good. We'll take that. Yeah. No, I honestly don't even really remember that game. But yeah, so that was the Rangers series, and then immediately following game 3, I think, because there was a day off in between. So it was a Thursday, right? No, it wasn't. It was a Monday day off. No, it wasn't. They didn't have a day off, did they? What day are we on here?
Um,
No, they played Monday.
The Ernie walk-off was Friday. They played Saturday, Sunday,
Right. They didn't have a day off, I don't think.
Monday,
What
Tuesday,
day
Wednesday.
is it? No, sorry. Yeah.
Today's
They
the
had a
day off.
doubleheader Tuesday. They had
Oh yeah, the day off Monday. Yeah,
Wednesday. Yeah. Okay. So during that day off, they traded Nate Pearson and someone else before that, no?
yeah.
Jimmy before that. Wasn't there two on
Yeah,
the day
like
off?
let's uh let's do the Orioles series, then go through all of it. Yeah,
Okay.
it was Jimmy and Nate.
Okay. So yeah. So then either way, they were missing guys going into this Orioles series. And the games kind of went how you thought they would. Other than honestly, I thought Yariel would be better than what he showed in that start.
I
Looking
missed
go
that one, but that's tough.
obviously, so I was at both those games and coming into it, we're like, well, we should get a decent game out of this Yariel one. And then Bowden Francis, well, he's Bowden Francis. Maybe you get lucky. And that was kind of the opposite of what happened. We showed up and Yariel walked 5 or 6 guys in the first inning and absolutely domed James McCann. And it got off to a terrible start.
Shout out to James McCann for playing the rest of that game.
Unbelievable. It was
No one else did
frustrating.
too. Like he was taking BP the
Yeah.
other day. Did you see the picture? He's
Oh yeah.
wearing, you know, that like plastic mask thing that they wear in basketball
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
He was wearing one of those in BP.
I'm pretty sure he played again, either yesterday or the
Yeah, he
game.
did.
I don't know what a game it was, but he played again at some point. That's insane. Uh, but it was wild because I'm like, he laid down for so long. I'm like, oh, he's obviously coming out of this game, and all of a sudden he just gets up and goes to first. I'm like, what? Why did we wait so long? Like, all right, buddy. But I guarantee you, if that's any other position player on the team, they're just like, yeah, come on out, and we'll
Yeah,
put you in the second game if we have to. But
yeah.
you don't want to have Adley catch 17 innings.
That's the tough part.
Yeah. But yeah, Addison Barger hit his first home run of the year in that one. Honestly, Addison Barger had a up and down series. He had a great first game. That homer was huge. I think he had another hit in that game, if I'm not mistaken. He looked good at the plate. And then the second game, or the third game, I think it was, not the second game of the day, third game of the series, he had a play in the outfield where it was like it was a homer, but it was a very catchable homer. Like the wall's not very tall there, and he just kind of got underneath the padding of the wall and went to jump and just hit the wall. It just defensively, he still just doesn't look ready, but offensively, he looked
Where was he?
great all series.
Baltimore has had one left and right.
Yeah, he was in
Where
left
was his
and
catchable homer?
in right. There's like the big ass wall in Baltimore, and then it goes
Oh,
down a little bit, or it goes
where
like
Trout robbed that
yeah,
home
yeah,
run where he's halfway above the fence. Yeah,
yeah,
okay, I
yeah.
got you.
It's just like an odd like little cutout there. And it was in there.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I mean, he's learning. It's fine. He just defensively, I don't know where you put him right now, but he had 2 homers, his first 2 homers of his career, and he had a big double somewhere in the last game too. So hey, we'll take it.
I think that's kind of the nice thing right now. It doesn't really matter.
No.
Like can develop, figure out where you need him, which now coincidentally looks like probably the infield
Maybe.
based on all the moves we've made. I think he's an infielder.
I feel like there's
Picked
holes.
up like 3 major league ready outfielders.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of didn't really think of that. I was just trying to think of the guys.
Like I think he's probably gonna have to go back to the infield, which I think he's probably better suited for. He's got a cannon, can play third base. Like I think they just got to give him some run out of position and let him settle into a position.
Mhm. My internet's kind of being garbage right now, but I think I'm starting to catch back up.
Okay, I was gonna say, is it you or me? Because
No,
you're
no,
like
it's
frozen.
it's 100% me, but your face was like moving and there was no words, and all of a sudden there was words. I'm like, but I think I'm back. Yeah, no,
You're
I just
like 2 seconds behind me, I think.
yeah, he's gonna need to develop a lot, obviously. But I think you're right. There's tools there, like that arm is gonna play. If he can hit the ball a little more consistently, that power is gonna play too.
The bat's playing right now.
Yeah, he's been hitting well since he came back up.
It's playing right now, so give
Yeah,
him some run, see what he can
yeah.
do, right? Like,
Worst case, you'll know what you have going into next year. Even if he stinks, he stinks. If he's great, he's great. And then you know you're not
exactly.
really looking to fill that spot, right? Which it's nice. I don't. That is the one thing
He's
with this
he's a guy
whole.
you have to figure it out with, I think, because
Mhm.
this is very
I'm so delayed.
difficult. Because sure.
Yeah. Technical difficulties
You're
are not our friend right now. As soon
still
as
delayed.
yeah. Had to take a second there to fix some technical difficulties. I think we've got it sorted out now. I don't even remember where we were.
I think you jumped to game 3. We were talking about Barger, but I want
Talking
to go
about
back to that double header first
okay.
because so I missed game 1 because I was working and
Mm,
I missed a good part of game 2. I forget
mm.
what. I think I was just like after game 1, I was like, I'm not watching game 2. There's a rain delay, right?
Yeah,
So
it's
it
funny because
started
I had the
late.
same thought process at the games, and I'm like, do we really need to stay for game two? Like that was so fucking bad, and it's only gonna get
Yeah.
worse.
So I flipped it on
Mm,
and I picked up the Orioles broadcast, not ours, and I
mm.
was too lazy to switch it back. And I think Vlad got at least 3 at bats from like the 6th inning on. And
Yeah.
every time he came up, the Orioles broadcast was like, is this guy up again? Like, is he just hitting every inning? Are they batting 7 guys? Like, what's going on? Don't want to see this guy.
Vlad had a doubleheader of historical proportions. Like he had a homer and a single in game one, three doubles, a homer, and two walks in game two or something
Dude,
stupid like that.
that
Like,
home run in game 2
oh
wouldn't have been 20 feet off the ground, I don't
no,
think. Like the entire, it was just a,
it almost hit the pitcher in the head, I'm
oh
pretty
my
sure.
God.
And just kept on going.
That was a piss missile.
It's absolute rocket. Even the one in game one was opposite field and still just a missile to right field.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Well, they're like, man, even the outs he makes are like
yeah.
hard because he was like a 107 lineup,
Hmm.
like
Hmm. The
nuts.
only out he
Anyways,
made in that game. It was insane. Huge game for Vlad.
they were just like, I don't want to see this guy anymore. Like, can we just be done with this series?
Yeah.
He was on a tear.
It's huge to see, and I really hope he can I hope this is just back to what Vladdy is now, and like he's starting to figure it out and he's got it. And that way we actually might end up being competitive in 25. I don't know. Either way, they gotta fucking pay the man. It's at this point, there's no
Everyone's
reason not to.
saying that they should have traded him and capitalized on the assets, and I'm like, nah, he's such a fan favorite. I think you
Hmm.
just write him a blank check at this
Hmm.
point. If he
Pay him what he
continues the rest of
wants.
the year like this, just what do you want?
Hmm.
I don't think he doesn't seem like the type of guy based on just the aura he gives off. He doesn't seem like super money hungry and out to like be the highest paid player ever
Yeah, I
type
don't think
deal.
he
Like
needs to be, right? Like
that's
it's
the other thing I was gonna say. He doesn't need it. His dad's got tons of money. Like he's gonna make generational wealth in this
mhm.
deal, no matter what it is.
Mhm.
Like
Like we're
it's
talking like
north of
the
two hundred
difference.
million
Yeah.
dollars.
Like we're talking like the difference between like 250 and $275 million. Like it's like a
He could be
25
three.
million. Yeah, sure. Sure. Even still, like a $50
Realistically,
million difference to him is nothing.
realistically, like 330 a year for 10 years for
Hmm.
him isn't
No.
crazy.
Yeah, no. I can see it. I'm trying to find who's currently the highest paid first baseman. Do you happen to know?
No,
I found
I guess
this.
Goldie, if I were to guess,
Let's see, where are we
or
here?
Freeman, but I think Freeman took a bit of a haircut and he was also older.
Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to see, like, if maybe Bryce, technically. I'm trying to
Oh, it'll
see
be
where
Bryce
we
for
could put
sure.
him, yeah, uh, on that list and see what that would.
I I think you could give him Bryce money comfortably.
Mhm. I don't see why not. Like, if he's asking to be the highest paid first baseman in the league, are you telling him no?
I don't think so.
So
Like
currently,
realistically, Bryce signed that deal 4 or 5 years ago, I think it was now.
mhm,
So there's inflation on top of that.
mhm,
And Vladdy's going to be the same age Bryce was, I think, pretty well.
yeah.
Like, why not?
If you are breaking it down by AAV, currently the highest paid first baseman in the majors is Chris Bryant at $28 million.
He's a first baseman.
Apparently, I couldn't tell you that. Then it goes Bryce at 27.5. And I see nothing like I could comfortably hand Vladdy $30 million a year right now, I think.
Yeah. I
And
think I think 300 is a fair number,
mhm,
30 for 10 years.
yeah, sure. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that's should be what they're aiming for. Um, and I think that I don't know if anyone's
If you
ever
can
going
get
to
him on a
complain
little
about
bit
it.
of a haircut and he's willing to
Mm.
do it. No.
Like he's currently at 19.9, so just round it up and you're at 20. Like a $10 million raise essentially for what he's done already, coupled with what he's about to do at 26 years old going into next year. I think that's absolutely worth it. I don't see a world where they don't resign.
No, I don't either.
It just doesn't make sense.
Anything else to talk about in the rest of this
This
Orioles series here?
series, no. Colton Cowser, being there is the most frustrating player I've ever played or I've ever seen someone play against because he's fucking so good. He plays a great outfield. He can hit for power. He can hit for contact. He's fast. He fucking does everything. And every time he does anything, that whole stadium moves. Like the anytime, like he comes up the bat, it's just moo. Makes a play in the outfield. Moo. He fucking gets a single.
Watching
Moo. I'm like, oh my
watching the O's
god.
broadcast too, they kept flashing over to the like splash zone
Oh, it's
section where they're just like spraying everyone with
yeah.
water. I was like, honestly, man, being an Orioles fan right now would be so
It'd
much
be
fun.
fun. Yeah. And it's just sitting there as a Jays fan, and every like seems like every inning, it's just moo. I'm like, oh
Yeah,
my god, this is painful. Uh, Other than that, Leo Jimenez stat line didn't look great, but he hit a lot of balls really hard in that series. I noticed while we were there. I think he might start coming around. Stuart Baroa, not a good baseball player. Holy fuck, is he ever fast though? Watching him live, he stole like 3 bags in the 3 games that we saw while we were there, and Jesus Christ, can he run, man?
it'd be a
Uh,
useful piece, right?
oh yeah,
Like
bench guy. Like if this is a competitive team and you need like a 26th man on your bench to just bring in to run for Kirk and just swipe 2 bags,
yeah,
he's like the Dalton Pompey of 15 or 16 or whatever year that was.
Bradley Zimmer played that role
Hmm.
kind of. He played more defense, I think. But
Yeah, I don't trust Burrow's defense very much. It's kind
Terrence
of dicey
Cole,
looking. Yeah, Terrence Core is a good comparison. I don't think anything else in that one. We didn't get murdered by
it's
Mountcastle.
Jackson Holiday's first career home run.
Mm, that did happen. It was also a grand slam.
It was.
Yeah, fantastic. We also had the return of Paolo Espino in that game. Paolo didn't give it up.
We started out with a Spino season and we're
We're
ending with
back.
a Spino season
We're
here.
so back.
We're back.
He was okay, wasn't he? Like he wasn't awful.
He
Connor
is
just wrote
he's gotta be the
Espino
one
lines.
flight deck guy left.
Yeah, honestly though. Like looking through the team, everybody's gone. Even your guys gone. Like anyone we've ever enjoyed being on this team, gone.
Who were my guys that weren't your
No, just your
guys?
guy. I
Oh,
guess
just Turner.
yeah. Turner, you were right. We were all riding the IKF train for a minute there, and he's gone. Like our
Yeah.
sixth string flight deck guys are gone. So
Okay, well let's run through these trades here
yep.
then.
Yeah. So I already mentioned, but first one to drop was Jimmy Garcia. Went to the Mariners for Jonathan. Is it Jonathan? Because it's not spelled Jonathan.
I don't know. I didn't notice that. I've heard Jonathan.
Yeah, me too. And it would make sense, but it's spelled Jonathan. And I don't know. So Jonathan Clase and Jacob Sharp. Clase is the bigger piece, but Jacob Sharp actually homered in his first at bat or first game with
He's young,
Vancouver.
right?
Super young. I think he's only like 18 or 19.
Right on.
Apparently there's some potential there, and he was good in college or high school or something, but he
Class
hasn't
A,
quite looked very good yet.
Class A seems like a nice piece. He's been up this year with the Mariners. Didn't really do much. Got like a very short cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Wasn't great in the little
the
8 game stretch, but it's 8
yeah,
games.
the scouting reports that I've read on him,
Mhm.
obviously still young
Mhm.
and room for growth.
Mhm.
But goddamn, he seems like he's going to be a very frustrating player.
Yeah. His minor league numbers, I think, give me a little more faith. I'm trying to, John, I spelled it wrong, but because apparently, like he's got like an high eights OPS with some speed and steals a decent amount of bases from what I remember.
Like Connor said, he's got pop, but the scouting grades on like MLB have him as like a
Mm,
45 pop or I think it was 45 or 50.
mm,
Like that,
it's
that's not doing it
okay.
for him. That's not saying that's like
That's not a guy I say has
mid.
pop.
That's mid.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
so he has 10 homers and 246 at bats, which is it's not bad. It's serviceable.
that's a that's a 20 homer season,
Mm-hmm.
500 at bats.
Mm-hmm. And he's
That's
22
also
years old,
facing
so like
AAA pitching, and everyone is saying AAA is like not good pitching right now. So
no.
that's
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's
he's
not
22, high upside guy by the sounds of it. So
27 stolen bases. That's the one thing that I kind of look
stole
at
like
is like, okay.
74 last year.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, you can take that away at least and be like, well, if he gets on, like he's had 66 hits, I'm trying to and 41 walks. So like in 100 times, say 100 times on base, he's got 27 stolen bases. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that is one thing we've kind of been missing for the most part.
I don't think
It's
his
just that
rates were
jump is
amazing.
no,
I think he's been caught 7 or 8
is it?
times.
No. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting piece for 2 months of Jimmy Garcia.
Yeah.
I think it's a decent piece, and then that Sharp kid, tons of time to figure it out. Maybe he will, maybe he won't, but it's a catcher piece that could figure it out. And as we'll get to later, that we're kind of in need of a catcher piece. The second move we made, Nate Pearson to the Cubs. This one came the fuck out of nowhere.
That was very strange. I don't
I,
really get it.
yeah.
Um, I wish Nate the best. I remember, man, it must have been 2020. I was in
Hmm.
Florida for spring training and heard the day before he was supposed to start in Bradenton. I was down with my family. I made my dad bought tickets that day because he was gonna pitch like 3 innings in relief. We're like, yeah, we're going.
Oh, he was electric
And
back
it
at
was,
that point.
oh yeah, it was electric. Like touching 100
Hmm.
easily. And
Hmm.
he's that guy that seems I've never like hard to root against.
Yeah.
Like,
Somebody's gonna have the key to that kid too. They're gonna
yeah,
unlock a lot there, and I think he has the stuff to be like even in what we've seen so far, he has the stuff to be a good reliever in the majors. He's just got to figure something out, and I don't think he was ever going to figure it out here.
no.
I know nothing about either of these two guys we picked up, and I'm not going to pretend to. I don't know if
Um,
you've read anything.
Not much. I think that the first guy, uh, Panego, is in our top 30 now.
Hmm.
Rivera, I don't think is.
Okay, we'll take that. Uh, his name is Johendrick. That's kind of neat. That's about the extent of what I have on the background of any of them. Next move we
I think
made.
he's another outfielder too.
Sure, sure.
I
The
think
next
so.
one hurt. We knew it was coming, but main flight deck guy, the flight deck guy, Danny Jansen, was traded to Boston of all teams. Like that kind of hurt a little bit more, just to push it in a bit. But honestly, the trade, from what I've heard about the people we got back, it's actually not bad. And I mean, again, it's 2 months of Danny Jansen, and there's a strong chance that, like, we'll talk about it with all of them for right now, but we've talked about it in our group chat. There's a strong chance they get two of the main three guys back at the end of the season. Like, you're looking at a catcher free agency right now that is very slim. We looked at it before on the podcast, but it's basically just like Danny Jansen,
Yeah.
Gary Sanchez, and me and you as the next two best options, because it's not good. So it's one of those things that they get Cutter Coffee, who is apparently, he's been pretty good in the minors from what I
He was drafted like
remember.
last year, right? I
Yeah.
pulled up. I'll get a little ahead of ourselves here, but
Okay.
I'll give you where all the guys we picked up rank in our system.
Okay.
Again, this is preseason rankings. I don't think it's been updated since.
Mm-hmm.
Bloss comes in at 3, Class A's 8, McAdoo 14, Wagner 22, Benego 27, Coffee 29, and Shrek, I don't know how you pronounce
Yeah,
that.
Shrek.
30. The I believe this were Vera and one of the other Boston guys were in there, but got bumped out
Okay.
with the subsequent moves.
Okay. Yeah. Obviously, Cutter Coffee is the piece in this one. It's 3 lottery tickets, essentially, is what we've done. A lot of these things are just lottery
I'll
ticket
take that.
guys for
I'll take that for Jano though. Like
For sure.
three young guys. Why not?
Yeah. Sucks to see him go. He's obviously been around for a long time and very well liked in the clubhouse and very well liked by 98% of the fans. I would love to see him back, but I guess we'll see. The one following was an odd one because it was the second inning of the first game of the doubleheader, and we were sitting there. Sorry. And I'm watching Addison Barger run in front of me. And I'm like, I don't think Addison Barger was in this game. I'm like, what? How did that happen? I'm like, oh, did Davis get hurt? And I look, and Davis is on second. I'm like, did Spencer get hurt? And I look over, and Spence starts walking out to first. I'm like, who the fuck was playing? Oh, shit. I'm like, he definitely got traded. Sure enough, like 5 minutes later, I think it was Passan reported that he went to the Mariners. I'm like, well, that sucks. But it's, again, a move that had to be made. Justin Turner we're not doing anything this year, and Justin Turner's a veteran piece that pretty much anybody can use. I don't know what this does for the Mariners. I don't know if you have any other opinion on it.
They got rid of France, so they're expecting to play him quite a bit at first base, is what I saw.
Okay.
Just mentioned it, but the Shrek, the guy we got back, ranks 30th in our system now. Another outfielder, kind of same thing, right? Like lottery ticket. I think he was a 4-year college guy, drafted last year, I believe, or 2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, he's what, 24, still in double A.
Decent numbers, I think.
He had good college numbers too, from what I remember.
Yeah. Shit, what was I gonna say? Oh, Turner's message to the fans, I thought was pretty cool. Like, do you see that quote? Like,
no,
feels like he let down the country and the team, and he really loved his time here, kind of deal. Like, I think that's kind of a cool message to put out. Like, he seemed like he really enjoyed being here. That's another one. I think Connor brought it up. Connor sent the list of guys he thought could come back, but I could see JT.
Sure.
If he doesn't hang him up again, I think he's like 38, 39.
Yeah.
He's still got some game left in him.
Yeah, no, I don't think you'd have the same as much of a role next year, ideally, if they're trying to compete. But I could absolutely see him being like a bench piece for this team, because, like, if he wants to play every day, then no, obviously. But if he just wants to come back and be here again, because apparently, like, his wife loves it here. They just had their kid here. It seems like a place he wants to be.
Yeah.
And you can say that about a handful of people too, though. Like, obviously, Kikuchi, like, his family loves it here. They stayed here in the off season. They really want to be here. And obviously, like, his translator use case from here, so it's kind of one of those things. It's like that's very much an option. Kevin Kiermaier clearly loved it here, or he's a very good actor, one of the two. And then Jano came up here like he's been here the whole time. His family's here again. It just
Yeah.
it makes sense for all of them. But
Well, I think it was cool too because Turner was on FT earlier in
mhm,
the year. I think we talked about it, and like
mhm,
he was praising Toronto and his time here, and like the staff and
mhm.
the way everyone's treated.
That is the one thing
Like,
I hear from a lot of them is just like the way they go about treating their players is above and beyond what a lot of other
and
teams do.
players' families too.
Yeah, yeah, that's a big one too. It's just that you feel a little bit more at home, and you kind of think about that when you go into free agency. And there's gonna be guys that are like, "Hey, I wouldn't mind going back there." And if the team's gonna try and compete, I think a lot of the guys, some of the guys, maybe not a lot of them, but some of the guys can help us compete next year if that's what
Yeah.
their plan is. So I don't know. This Shrek kid, he was hitting 250 with a 392 on base on 444 slug, good for an 836 OPS. Across, what was he in? High A and double A. He has 12 homers in 86 games. It's not bad. Take it. It's
You'll
again,
take that.
it's a lottery ticket. You take it. Who's next? Ah, the most painful one. The best trade we made all day, not even
By
close.
far.
Like by a landslide. Yusei Kikuchi, who I will admittedly say, had been struggling for a better part of 2 months now, I think, going back.
Yeah.
Like he entered June with like a 2.7 ERA, and I think he left with a 4.8 or something like that. He had been struggling, bottom line is what we're getting at. And they traded him to Houston for Jake Bloss, Joey Loperfido, and Will Wagner. And Astros fans lost their minds, which it's a good trade when you see something like that.
Well, I think the big thing here, the big thing kind of across the board with
Mhm.
most of these trades,
Mhm.
most of these guys are like pretty well ready to make an impact
Sure.
right now.
Yeah.
Like Bloss, I think had one start, kind of a spot start and a
I had
necessity.
3, I think.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He went into
Drafted
3 of
last
them.
year. Numbers aren't great, weren't great in the majors, but like he shot up their system. I think he was a third round pick, and he's like, I just said number 3 in our system.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Before you get too far
Loperfido's,
here. His numbers aren't great, but like if you look at the individual starts, they're really not that bad. Like he gave up like 3, 2, and then something. I think it was 4
I'm
in
sure
the
he
in
was
the
on
three
an innings
starts.
limit too, so he probably
Yeah.
wasn't getting deep into games like the
No, it
pitch
was
limit,
like 4
whatever.
innings in a couple of them and like 3 or 2
Yeah.
or something in the other ones. Like it's not enough of a major league sample size to be like, oh, he doesn't have it in the
No,
majors.
no.
So yeah, but sorry, carry on.
Loperfido's had a cup of coffee,
Mm-hmm.
got his first hit with the Jays yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Hit a
From
single to the left field at like 107 or something like that. I think I
yeah,
saw. Nice swing.
from all it like the projections 2 months ago were
Mm-hmm.
that we were getting Loperfido and somebody else for
Vlad.
Vlad.
Yeah. So to get him, one of their better prospects, and a throw in Wagner for Kikuchi.
Who's tearing the cover off the ball in AAA.
Yeah. Like there's 3 legitimate pieces that could be a part of this team next year.
Yeah,
Could be 2
for
of them
sure.
could be this year. Like that's insane.
I don't think we see Bloss because
No.
there's other guys and you don't have the necessity to do it. He's already got that little cup of coffee. Like sometimes you'll
Mhm.
bring the guy up in September just to get him that kind of feel. He got his
Sure.
feel. If he puts up blistering numbers in AAA,
Then he
sure,
could come up, yeah.
but it
I,
doesn't make sense. I think he could have a shot at a spot at a camp next year,
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. Right now, our rotation currently has Yariel Rodriguez and Paulo Espino in it.
Is Yarbrough in the pen then?
I think he would maybe come in and start. So I think that would probably take away the Bloss opportunity. But if you're concerned about Yariel Rodriguez, I think Bloss is probably our next best option.
Uh Francis too,
Oh yeah. Yeah, he actually showed
after
well
the good
enough. You're
start.
right.
So he
Yeah.
probably gets another one.
Yeah, you're right.
But overall, very good trade.
Mm-hmm.
Like it seems like across the industry that was pretty well agreed upon
Mm-hmm.
that the Jays made out like gangbusters. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what we saw the starting pitching market was,
Yeah, it was huge.
even with other guys traded.
It's wild that Kikuchi went for what he did, and Jack Flaherty was probably having the best year of anybody traded, went for what he did.
They're saying those prospects, it's all like all the rankings haven't been updated, I don't think. For the
Mhm.
most part, they're saying those prospects kind of shot up the Dodgers system. They're not like top
Okay.
end guys, but they're
But they're working their way up. That's fair.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh, again, Kikuchi's another one. I think him more than the rest, I could see coming back on a bare minimum a prove it deal, like a 1 year. Let me get everything back together in Toronto because they've figured it out and we can do it again. And he likes it here. I could see it happening. I don't see him re-signing in Houston because when they're healthy again next year, he's like the 8th starter, if that.
I didn't catch any of that.
Sorry, which part? Any of it?
Any of that cut out big time.
The only part that actually matters. I don't see Kikuchi re-signing in Houston. Like I don't think there's a chance in hell that happens.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like
They go on a run and they make him an offer, but like they have so
Sure.
much depth. I don't think it makes sense.
That's what I said when I was cutting out there is that like they have so many starters ahead of him that I don't think there's a spot for him
I
personally.
think that's why it made sense for them to get a 1 year guy. Like Crochet didn't really fit because
he wants the extension.
He wants the extension, and they have so many quality options. They need a piece right now for this stretch.
Yeah, it works. I think it's a much better trade for our side, but it works for both sides. Then my favorite trade of the day, Trevor Richards. Hardly knew you. Thanks for coming. Traded to the Twins for I didn't even care who the return is on this one. I didn't even look.
I forget the guy's name. Another lottery ticket young kid.
Sure. Cool. The IKF to Pittsburgh trade might be the most intriguing of all of them. Maybe the Kikuchi one, but IKF hurt to begin with. Got traded to Pittsburgh for Charles
He's on a
McAdoo.
rehab assignment right now. Is he
Currently in Buffalo, yes. Or was currently in Buffalo. I guess not anymore. This McAdoo kid. Now, I saw a tweet yesterday about Roman Anthony. And Roman Anthony's supposed to be this like huge prospect for the Red Sox. And it was his stat line. Basically, Roman Anthony's hitting 254. He's got 13 homers, 37 RBIs, 13 stolen bases, and an 833 OPS in 283 at-bats. Charles McAdoo is hitting 315 with 14 bombs, 63 RBIs, 17 stolen bases, and a 932 OPS. He's got a OPS, granted, they're 2 years difference, so it makes a difference, but he's got an OPS that's almost 100 points better than Roman Anthony's. He's got more stolen bases, more RBIs, more homers, and a better average. Both in Double-A right now.
We made a last minute deal years ago with the Pirates. Seemed inconsequential at the time for a power hitting guy, and it worked out pretty good.
Who did we get from them?
Joey Bats.
Oh, was it? That's fun. I didn't know that was a deadline deal. Yeah. I mean, shit, this kid, like, he's 22. The numbers are...
No, he's 24, is he not?
22. Yeah, on his thing it says he's 22.
Really?
Yeah. Born March 6, 2002. 22 years old. Numbers are off the charts in Double-A. For fucking a year and 2 months of IKF, that's insane.
I think it made so much sense to trade IKF. Like he could have been a very useful piece for this team next year. But I think Leo's kind of showing he can slide right into that. If it's not him, it's Ernie. Or Barger, Martinez. Like we've got
or someone to get back in a
group
Boba
of
trade
quality prospects that are kind of MLB ready.
Yeah. I am going to
so
miss
I think it makes a ton
IKF.
of sense. IKF was also having his best offensive season of his career.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. I am going to miss IKF, but it made a ton of sense to trade him because he's never been this. And you might as well capitalize if someone's going to give you something like this. The final trade of the day, the one that made the most sense. Kevin Kiermaier of the Dodgers for Ryan Yarbrough. Ryan Yarbrough was DFA'd the day before. So he's
got solid numbers. Like
which is crazy.
He slots into the back end of your rotation or your pen, and he's a usable piece.
He will get you through the season.
If he has a good year, it's not going to cost you much to bring him back either.
No. Yeah. If he likes it here, it's like he's a good bullpen piece if you can have him for next year.
He is Trevor Richards.
Yeah, exactly. And then on the Kiermaier side, you gotta respect them doing this because this is probably the best chance to get him a ring, I would say, on the
Yeah,
Dodgers.
the best
And
chance that made sense. Like he
yeah,
wasn't going to Philly.
no. So you put him there, you give him a chance, and I think it was the highest respect move you could have gotten. And then you got a guy back that can help you get through the rest of the year. I didn't think they'd get anything, but to get a major league quality guy, you take it. His message to the fans was great. The whole video he did you see the video he
I
put
don't
out?
think I saw that.
You have to watch that after. He was talking about like he's like how much he loved it here and how great the fans were. And excuse me, he said like right from the get-go, I just told you guys like just stick with me, I'll be there, blah blah blah. And he goes, you did, and he goes, I've never really had fans like that, and blah blah blah, and this, and just kind of it was cool. The whole message was really cool. Um, but yeah, that was the trade deadline.
I got a couple takeaways here.
Mm-hmm.
First one,
Mm-hmm.
with moving all of these guys and all this money, I don't know how much we retained, whatnot. We should be under the luxury
Luxury
tax
tax.
threshold, which has draft pick implications, obviously money implications.
Mm-hmm.
I think international signing implications, like qualifying offer implications. So I think that's a very good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the penalties then lessen next year, I believe. If
Yeah.
we go over,
Yeah.
it kind of resets if you're in it 3 years in a row, which I believe we were two, and this would have been our third,
Yeah.
maybe. But
I think
I
you're
think
right.
that's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Second is I think I like it overall.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very confused by the amount of outfielders we picked up and lack
Yeah.
of pitching.
Yeah. I
Like
think
our
well
pitching depth is not great right now. Bloss
no.
helps that, but the fact that Ricky and Barriera are both hurt,
Yeah.
Ricky's probably not. Well, he had TJ, so he's not pitching next year.
No.
Manoah likely isn't either.
No.
That confused me. I would have liked to seen some more arms come in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good way to restock the farm system. And like the free agent class this year is decent, but it's not great. Excuse me, you can use some of these guys as trade assets too, right? Or you can use some of your internal guys, you assess the rest of the year. There's gonna be some trades made this offseason, I believe, to
Mhm.
make this team competitive because Rogers can't afford the Jays not to be competitive.
No.
They're gonna bring in pieces, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see 2 to 3, if not more, of these guys out the door for other pieces.
Yeah.
And I think that's a perfectly fine way to do
No.
this. I think it
Yeah, I'm with you.
overall was good.
Yeah. I think that's just it. Like I think the front office thought process here is that they cleared out the guys that aren't going to be here next year, but they still have the option to bring them back if they really want them in this group, and they're going to add to this current group and make them better. But what we did do here is we now have a decent core for the future to throw in there as pieces that may turn into something. Like we didn't go out and get a Vladimir Guerrero that's going to come up and
You're
be an
frozen
absolute
again.
stud.
I didn't hear any of that.
I basically said like what they did do is they brought in a group of young guys that can be a core group going forward. Like they're not going to be elite level players. You got me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they're not going to be. No one's going to come up
know.
here and be like elite level prospects, but they're going to come in and they can make an impact in the major leagues with at least 4 or 5 of the people we brought in. I think are going to make an impact in the next year, maybe 2, which is huge.
Yeah, and you never know with trades like this. Like, look at the Teoscar trade we made. We have Francisco Liriano for Nori Aoki, I believe it was, and Teo was like he was the piece.
Yeah.
But he kind of fallen out of favor in their system. You never know what happens, right? Like
Yeah.
these guys are still young. They could still find something.
Yeah. Like Santiago Espinal, another one that kind of he didn't turn into much, but he had a couple of good years. Like all it was here's Steve Pierce of all people. And you came in and got a guy that played solid second base for us for 4 or 5 years or whatever it is. Like you can get someone to come in and do that. That's huge.
Yeah.
And in terms of
the pieces around the margins, like I don't think any of us are delusional thinking these guys are going to be impact players next year. Maybe one of them is. Maybe one of these guys that are like right there can be an impact player for this team next year or 2 years from now. But these are the margin players. Like your lower in the order guy, your 25th, 26th man on the roster that help you get through a season, and you need quality players in those spots to be a good team.
Exactly. Yeah. I think in terms of when you mentioned we didn't really get any pitchers at the deadline, I think the fact that they drafted 3 straight rounds of pitchers to begin this draft, I think that also kind of offsets that a little bit. Speaking of which, the Blue Jays
That's fair. And
officially signed Trey Savage on his contract. So now we've guaranteed at least the top 3 of them to stay, which is huge. Sorry, you're gonna
say he's one that based on all accounts, yeah, it was probably jumps for sure into our top 10. Could be top 5 in the system. And he's also a guy that's right there. So him and Bloss kind of become that depth next year, I think. And that's huge.
Yeah, and now you have your Savage, you have Bloss, you have in 2 years you'll have Barriera back, you'll have Tiedemann back. So now you have 4 guys that can be legit.
Manoah.
And then I think Manoah's already kind of past the point of prospect, though. I think like he's obviously a major league pitcher.
Yeah, but I mean,
just generally, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're gonna have to try and fly through everything else because my connection is just dog shit.
Hey, quickly, have the White Sox won a game?
Have they won since I know they lost 17 in a row. Did they play?
That was last night, so they probably haven't played yet today.
Okay.
The American League All-Star team has won a game more recently than the Chicago Cubs.
Oh, boy. So the White Sox don't play tonight. You said yesterday was the 17th in a row?
Yeah.
So yeah, they have not won. I don't know where that puts them in the record wise. This is more Connor's thing. I think we can firmly say they're definitely finishing last. I don't think there's any argument on that anymore. Anything non-deadline related before we get into anything across the league?
Ricky's TJ, we've kind of danced around it, but didn't touch on
it. They officially announced it's nuts because like 2 weeks ago they said there was no structural damage and it's just they'll figure it out. And then a few days ago they announced that Ricky Tiedemann will undergo Tommy John, so he will be out for the rest of this year and probably all of next year. I think, or I can't see with the timing that he'd be back. It hurts. This guy just cannot stay healthy, man. He's got everything there and just can't get it to stick. It sucks. You got anything you want to say on it? It's not much there. No injuries across the league.
I think I agree with most of what I heard from you.
Yeah, sorry. I'm getting there. All right. Let me just go down the list here. AJ Puck doesn't matter enough to talk about, I don't think. Do you got anything to say?
Just let's fly through them quick. Okay. Like you run through them quick, and then
we'll go back.
Talk about like who are biggest winners, losers, whatever you want to do there.
Yep. Okay. So AJ Puck went to the Diamondbacks. I don't have the returns on a lot of these. Randy Arozzo went to Seattle. James Paxton went to Boston. Austin Hayes went to Philly for Seranthony Dominguez and Christian Pache. It was a weird one. We can probably talk about that after. Zach Eflin went to Baltimore and carved us apart. Ryan Stanek to the Mets. Jazz Chisholm to the Yankees was probably the biggest one pre-deadline. I don't know who Nick Mears is, so I'm going to skip that. Carlos Estevez to the Phillies. Huge. Jesse Winker went to the Mets. Jason Adam went to the Padres. Isaac Paredes went to the Cubs for Christopher Morel. That's a weird one I think we'll probably talk about a little bit. Carson Kelly to the Rangers. Michael Lorenzen to the Royals. Your guy. Ty France to Cincinnati. Petty and Tommy Pham to St. Louis. Edmund and Kopech to the Dodgers. And then the White Sox got prospects in that deal, I guess. I didn't realize it was a 3-way deal.
Yeah, let's call them prospects.
I didn't even see it. Lane Thomas went to Cleveland. Ahmed Rosario went back to the Dodgers again. Jalen Beeks to Pittsburgh. Frankie Montas went to Milwaukee. Jorge Soler and I don't know Jackson's first name. Luke Jackson to Atlanta.
He was with Atlanta before too.
Okay.
Both returning.
And then on deadline day, Mark Leiter Jr. went to the Yankees. Lucas Sims went to Boston. Trevor Rogers went to Baltimore for Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers. That was a weird one, but Josh Bell went to Arizona. Alex Cobb went to Cleveland. He should be back soon. Lucas Ursig went to Kansas. Andrew Chafin went to Texas. Paul DeYoung, Blue Jays legend, went to Kansas. Paulie Punchouts went to the Mets. Tanner Scott and Brian Hoying went to San Diego. Brian De La Cruz joining Ellie De La Cruz, not Ellie De La Cruz, sorry. Cruz. What's his first?
O'Neill.
O'Neill Cruz. Thank you. All the Cruzes in Pittsburgh. Eloy Jimenez went to Baltimore. Sorry, Baltimore. That's a tough one. Tanner Banks went to Philly. Eniel De Los Santos went to the Yankees. Jack Flaherty to the Dodgers. Probably the biggest deal of the day. Dylan Carlson went to Tampa Bay. Luis Garcia to Boston. Not the good Luis Garcia. Martin Perez to San Diego. Dylan Floro to Arizona. Mark Canada to the Giants. Slater to Baltimore. And Gregory Soto to Baltimore. Philly, since we just ended with that one, Philly did some weird shit over the last couple days.
That's where I was gonna start too.
Mhm.
I love their deadline
It wasn't
because
bad, but it's just weird.
Hayes is perfect.
Yeah.
He's right-handed hitter, hits lefties very well. I believe he's a solid defender. They needed a guy to platoon with Marsh. Perfect.
Sure.
It
Yeah.
suits perfectly. Like Pache's not hitting.
No. And
Guy can
Sir
come
Anthony's
around.
been ass.
Sir Anthony, that's who he has been though.
Mhm.
He's like lights out or he's ass.
Yeah.
So
it makes sense.
with how good Philly's pen has been, like Alvarado, Strom, the fuck's his name?
Hoffman.
Like Strom and Hoffman were both all-stars. I don't think Alvarado was.
No.
You add who's the Angels guy? They got Estevez. Like they don't really need. I think Soto's also been ass. So they improved where they needed to, and they didn't trade from their farm to do it.
No, I do like their day.
I like the return. I like the return Baltimore got too. Like Dominguez and Pache. Dominguez can slot into your pen, and maybe they find something and get him back to elite. He can be elite.
They are desperate for
Pache,
pen arms right now too. Craig Kimbrell's been fucking terrible lately. He's got like an 8.90 ERA in his last like 12 games or something stupid like that.
Pache is kind of whatever at this point, but like maybe he figures out how to hit. Soto, kind of same thing as Dominguez. He can be all over the place. He can be elite, but he can also be ass. So hopefully they find something.
Yeah, they kind of just shorted up in Philly, I guess, with like they took away the guys that aren't very consistent and brought in some pieces that are going to make sense. I like it. I don't have anything against it. I thought it was just weird. Like they almost were like half sellers at the deadline because like they were selling pieces, but they were also buying. Like it was a weird one.
I think they were just getting rid of guys that weren't gonna be
fitting
contributors for them and bring in better players, essentially.
Yeah, that's fair. Where else do you want to get?
Baltimore, because we were just kind of talking about them.
Yep.
I like the returns they got there from Philly. I like Trevor Rogers to them. I think that can be a very useful piece. They had to pay a steep price for it, but that was kind of the going rate of
pitchers,
of starters this deadline. Well, pitchers in general, honestly.
I don't love that
Norby
one.
And Stowers are like where were they going to play?
That's true. I think that's the thing with Baltimore is that you never know where you can slot these guys in. I really like Stowers. Norby hasn't shown me a ton so far in his time with Baltimore to make me feel like they lost out on something. But I kind of thought Stowers would be something, but it's the price you had to pay this year. It sucks.
2 years ago, Rogers was gross too, so
he hasn't been good this year. I can't get this thing to load, but
no, but like it's in there. Maybe you figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah.
They got Eflin too, right? Love that for them. Like you bring in Eflin and Rogers. I think that's great ads. I actually like the Eloy piece too. Was basically a salary dump for the White Sox, and I don't know where he fits. I don't know if he's starting or if he's coming off the bench, but just that pop he can bring to that lineup that already has a ton.
The benefit there too is he's not going to play every day. I don't think in Baltimore.
He doesn't have to.
That's what I mean. I think he can
If he
come
gets
in and
if he gets
stay
hot,
healthy.
he DHs
Mhm.
and he replaces one of Mountcastle or what's the other guy's
Santander.
name? Like DH and play first.
Santander.
No,
The other, who the hell did
no.
they have at first? Santander DH'd that day.
Um,
That's the only reason I thought of it. But
he mostly plays right. Shit, big white guy. Stand pat. I'll get it.
okay. I know who you're talking about too. I just can't even think of who the hell. I watched him play like 2 days ago. Um, either
O'Hearn,
way, I think. Sorry,
Ryan O'Hearn.
O'Hearn. I think he hit a tank against us. That's the thing though, is that he's not going to play every day, and him playing every day is bad because he just cannot stay healthy, and that's the biggest issue with Eloy Jimenez. If Eloy Jimenez is healthy, he's honestly, it sounds stupid, but he's one of the better hitters in the majors. But he's never healthy, and if they can find
Yeah.
a way to get him healthy, then it's phenomenal. Uh, would Baltimore do anything
Uh,
else? I thought there was one more. The Eflin one's
Slater.
obviously huge. I know you mentioned it, but the Eflin one, like he carved us apart. Like he
Yeah.
looked so good.
Slater was the other piece.
Oh, okay.
Not
Yeah, it's fine. Nothing special.
he kind of replaces what's his name? They traded to Philly. Hayes.
Yeah. Yeah, they're fine. They also they made all these moves and then they brought up Jackson Holiday, who, hey, he's still good.
Yeah.
It's a grand slam, almost hit a homer in his next at bat. Insane.
Um, I want to touch on like Pittsburgh
Mhm.
and Kansas City kind of together here quick.
Sure.
It's fun to see these teams buying at the
Yeah.
deadline. Like it's kind of what this playoff format did. I think
Mhm.
this year was super exciting. I don't
Mhm.
really remember another year with this many trades. There weren't
No.
the huge impact guys moved
No.
that you kind of see normally,
Yeah.
but it was a lot of fun. I think IKF helps Pittsburgh, so does De Los Santos.
Hmm.
Or no, not De Los Santos. Brian
Uh
De La Cruz.
De La
Sorry.
Cruz. Yeah.
Um, I think they had a good day. Kansas City, De
They did a
Jong,
lot.
Lorenzen. Apparently Urseg's been really good and is just
Mhm.
kind of flying under the radar. I don't know if they did someone else too, but I think that's good for them. They're an exciting young team. And it's good to see them adding. I think they've been one of my favorite organizations this year, just the way they added in the offseason. They
Mhm.
added
They're
impact players. Like they didn't make the huge long-term commitments, but they added like some older guys who can still impact your team. And then they
yeah.
kind of do the same thing here. I think
They committed to winning.
it's yeah, it's good to see teams doing.
Yeah. Uh yeah, it's fun. I think it's gonna be really weird to be Pittsburgh in September, October when you have both Skeens and Jones on pitch limits, and you may have the possibility of actually making a playoff run this year. And it sounds stupid, but I think Pittsburgh can do damage in the playoffs with like what they have between the two of them and Keller.
Is Do you think Skeens is going to be on a pitch limit? Have
I
they
I
committed to
think
said
they've already
that?
said that he is, but I correct me if I'm wrong. I've heard it a couple times, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I would
I
imagine
wouldn't
he
be
is.
surprised. Like kind of same thing the Nationals did when they brought up Strasburg that year in
Hmm.
contention and shut him down. I don't think they'll shut him down.
They
Maybe
just kind of teed him
maybe
off
they go
like
to a
3 or 4
6 man
innings to start, or
or they go
yeah,
to a 6 man, something like that, right? Give him a
yeah,
little more rest. Jones, he's coming off the IL, so you got to be a little careful, but that kind of eliminates the issue with needing to put a pitch limit or innings limit on it
yeah, because he's already
because
limited
he
himself.
had a bunch of rest.
Yeah. Now the problem too is if you're limiting Skeens, I don't think they're not sitting in a spot right now. If I'm if
I
I'm
don't I
not
don't think
wrong.
I I personally I don't think they will.
No.
Maybe they go to a 6 man, and I think that's probably the most effective way to do it. I
Yeah.
don't think they're actually going to limit him. Like he was a horse in college.
Hmm.
They limited his innings in the minors at the start of the year, which and the
Weird.
majors, like we've gone back and forth on it.
Hmm.
Both the no hit
Hmm.
bids where he was pulled. If you do that and it gets you two more starts down the road, I'm taking that over a no hitter
Yeah.
if I'm him and if I'm them.
Yeah, I guess. They are 2.5 back right now with 2 teams to climb.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
weird
not
spot.
terrible.
It's a weird spot for them. I'm glad they
They
made some moves to try
the
and
NL is
add.
very mid too, right? Like
they're getting better, surprisingly. The Mets are currently the one team out of it with their 57 and 51. The Diamondbacks hold the last spot at 58 and 51. The Padres are just ahead of them at 59 and 51. The Braves are 58 and 49. The Cardinals are the
Yeah.
second team back here with 56 and 52, and then the Pirates are 55 and 53. So like they're all kind of like they're all above 500 and they're all kind of competing right now. It's way more intriguing than the AL, I think. I'm not
Yeah.
Seattle stinks. I don't like I know they made all these moves. I don't really think it was worth it.
Okay, well, you just mentioned three teams I want to touch on here
Okay.
after the deadline. So, Mets first. I
Hmm.
think they didn't really do anything. I think that's kind of interesting, but right there, they've been surging.
Hmm.
If I'm in that clubhouse, I don't love that. Kind of the same way Boston did.
Hmm.
Um, I don't like either of those teams' deadlines really.
Hmm.
St. Louis, um, Tommy Pham goes back to where he started, I believe, and Eric Fetty, I,
Hmm.
like, who was the guy that gave up to the Dodgers? He wasn't really.
Carlson?
I don't think he
No,
played
Edmund.
yet.
Tommy Edmund.
Yeah, I don't think he played yet
No,
or
he's been hurt all
much.
year.
I think they brought in quite a bit. They could make a run. Um, but they're a good ball club that hasn't been playing well for. They didn't play well at all last year, but like
No.
I don't think you can sit there and say that isn't a good ball team. Just looking at the names,
I
they
hate
weren't
the
playing to the
rotation, but
names.
yeah.
Fetty helps that.
Yeah.
Where I just lost my
Uh,
train of thought. But Seattle though, I do like their deadline.
mhm.
They were aggressive. Uh, they kind of got all started with Randy,
Yeah.
um, Turner, Randy, and Yimmy. I think they made another move too. Um,
Yeah, there's someone else. And then they
but
got rid of France and
I like all those pieces for them. I think that helps them. Um,
I just look at I Randy's having a bad year. Turner, I don't think is
oh no, no,
enough.
no, no. Randy had a terrible start. He's
He's back the
started
other round
cooking
a little bit.
recently. Like
Okay.
he was real bad. He's
Yeah.
turning his numbers around.
Okay. I don't know if that's enough to push them over the edge here. They're 3.5 back. There's only one team in between them, and realistically, nobody behind them is competing.
But who's got the third seed right now? They're also right there with Houston.
Kansas.
They're right there with Houston. Is
They
Boston in the
are
wild card spot?
Boston is out by 2 games right now.
Like, I think they could be as good as Kansas City. The Twins are probably in one. They also didn't have a good deadline. The only guy
Mhm.
they got was Richards.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's gonna be fun. Like, there's a lot of teams loading up and doing stuff, which I think is great.
I think that's huge for baseball. I think even like we could talk about the Rays all day. I don't think we need to get into them. We know what the Rays are, we know what they do. But the Rays made some moves, and I think they're still competitive with what they brought in. Like I think
Yeah, like
Morel, if you can get him hot, I think
he
that's
already
that's
has a
huge.
bomb.
Yeah. I get
They gave up a lot of pitching. I don't know
mm,
how good they're going to be the rest of the way. I don't think they make the playoffs. I think they self-evaluated really well and
mhm,
said, "Hey, we got some expiring contracts we got to get rid of," and did it. It's what the Rays do. I hate it, but
mhm.
it's worked for them with the budget that they say they have.
Yeah. This year I kind of get it because they have
Yeah,
Rasmussen and Springs both coming back next year. And then there's a couple other names I remember seeing that they're
yeah.
bringing all these guys back next year. So it's
Shane Mack.
Shane Mack. Yeah, shit, I forgot about Shane. So they have like a full rotation coming back, and I think the difference between Paredes and Morel isn't really that different. I think Morel's just had some shit luck.
Morel's got more pops. Like the
Yeah,
numbers on Paredes
he doesn't hit
are
the ball like he doesn't swing hard.
no, and he pulls every single ball.
Hmm. I
So
kind
that
of I
I
like
don't
the
know.
potential makeup of Morel better than I do Paredes, and I think that's a decent move
Big
for them
time.
in the
Well,
future.
so apparently the Cubs wanted Glass now in the offseason,
Hmm.
and the asking price was Morel. I'm assuming there was probably more, but
Hmm.
Morel was going to be the big piece, and they said
Right.
no. So I think it's interesting they pivoted off of him this quick
Hmm.
when the step between Paredes and Glasnow was huge.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's interesting.
Yeah. I that's wild.
Let's go west. Uh, San Diego had maybe the most interesting deadline
Mm-hmm.
for me because they just said, we're trying to win this year. We
Mm-hmm.
don't care what we have to give up. They basically unloaded, I don't know how many out of their top 10 prospects it ended up being, but it was like at least four.
Yeah. If your name isn't what's his name at the top there, Ethan
Ethan
Salas,
Salas.
you probably got traded by the San Diego Padres.
But I think that's fun. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? Prospects aren't a guaranteed. The
No.
guys they're bringing in are proven commodities that can
Yeah.
help them.
That's another team that I think has to win. Like they can't be shit. So I think if they're competing and they're in a playoff spot, you get there and with that lineup, anything can happen. It's cool for them to bring
Yeah,
in pieces that are going to help them make that run at least.
yeah.
I'm glad there
Uh,
were teams that bought. I think that's we'll keep talking about other things, but I think that's kind of the overarching theme here is that there's a bunch of teams that decided they're still in this thing,
yeah, that's
which
I
I
think was exciting. Like, I don't if I'm Boston and I'm
mhm,
seeing teams like Kansas City, Pittsburgh,
mhm,
they're not like loading up, but they're
mhm.
getting impact players, and Boston's two biggest pieces are James Paxton and Danny Jansen, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
I'm pissed.
Yeah. Yeah, they could have done
But
much more.
same with the Mets. Like your
Mhm.
big markets, go make a move for somebody.
Yeah.
There were guys there that could have helped your team.
Yeah.
Um,
I think they've just got a good thing going right now, and I think Winker was a nice little ad, and I think for them, they made their ads a month ago, and it seems to be working. That's the only thing I think of. But I think,
oh, the Mets. I thought
yeah,
you were
yeah.
talking about Boston
No,
still.
no,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
the Mets. Yeah. I think overall this was kind of what the expansion was supposed to do. Like this is supposed to be the outcome of that was that more teams are going to try and compete to make the playoffs. Like everybody looks at the extra
Yeah.
wild card team and they always say like, "Oh, it's stupid because teams are out of it and they don't think they have to buy or because another
And
team's in there." I think
I,
this
th-
is what it was supposed to do.
I think that's what we saw last year, though, and I
Hmm.
don't think that was the intended.
No.
And this is fun. This is
Yeah.
exciting
Yeah. This is
because
how it should be.
this is the most active deadline I can remember,
Hmm.
and it started early too. Like,
Hmm.
and it was a lot of fun this week
Hmm.
seeing all these moves happen.
Hmm.
Um,
Now you didn't get a Luis Robert or a Garrett Crochet or something in that realm or a Juan Soto
Crochet
in
for different
previous years.
circumstances.
Yeah. Um,
Robert, they didn't have to move. I would have if
no.
I were them.
No, like I
Um,
don't disagree with not moving them, but I'm saying like there wasn't that caliber of player that moved, but I don't think that
no,
really mattered. Like I think there were enough decent players that moved that kind of made it interesting for the teams that are still competing. And I think there was enough
almost
value
every one
coming
of these
back.
teams, almost every one of these teams added, like, these are impact guys.
Hmm.
Like, they're not the guys that are necessarily going to hit 3, 4 in your lineup, but
No.
they're all going to impact you on a playoff push. You're down
Uh-huh.
the stretch, whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I think
Staying out
it was
west, I
fun.
think the Dodgers had a great deadline. Kopech, Edman, um, Rosario, and KK. I think
Yeah.
those are all
That's
good pieces
huge.
for them. They've been very hurt. They're getting like Muncy back. They're
When they get
getting
healthy, man, I don't know
Betts
who's gonna beat
back.
them.
Philly's a wagon.
Yeah,
I
it's gonna be
think
fun
I don't
between the
know.
two of them.
It's gonna be fun. Um,
Cleveland,
Atlanta was interesting.
mm,
Soler to me doesn't make a ton of sense.
no,
They're also eating all of that deal. So uh, Sanford might have kicked in a bit of money, but that's
yeah,
a
but
3-year deal, I think.
is it actually?
I believe so. It's
Yikes!
not a rental.
No, that's
They
tough.
also have an option next year on Ozuna.
Uh,
So I
so,
think that's
so you
interesting.
now have to play one of them. I didn't even take
Ozuna
that
and
in.
Soler have not seen an inning in the outfield this year.
How the hell are you fitting that in? I didn't even think of that.
Soler's got to go to the outfield.
Yeah, fuck, that's tough.
And I think they're willing to trade that because their offense has been so lackluster.
Hmm.
Um, I think the last one's the Yankees.
Yeah, just
They
pretty much just Jazz and a couple of relievers.
Mark Leiter apparently has been good this year.
Hmm.
I, I don't know, man. I'm not a Jazz fan personally. I think he's really overhyped. I think he can be good.
He's been
I
pretty good since he got there.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't know. I don't see it.
He's got to stay healthy, and I think that's the main thing with Jazz. I do like Jazz when he's healthy. He's an electric player. He's got 4 homers in 4 games since getting to New York. That's insane. And as a lefty with Pop playing in Yankee Stadium, that'll play.
Yeah.
Whether the health is the biggest concern, and I don't have a lot of faith that he's going to stay healthy, but maybe they unlock something and they find a way to keep him on the field. I don't
But
love that they're going to try and make him a third baseman. And I
well,
also
Glaber
don't
said he
love,
won't move off second.
yeah, I don't, I was going to say, I don't love that either. Cause if you're Glaber Torres, you're not good enough to make these kind of statements at this point.
I mean, if I'm Glaber Torres, I'm probably saying the same thing in a walk year.
Yeah.
I,
I
but
think your value is probably better at third.
I, I, I I don't
Well,
think
I think your value is better if
as
you're
a third
playing,
baseman.
is kind of more along the lines of what
Yeah,
I'm thinking. Like if you're
yeah.
sitting on the bench because you don't want to play third base and Jazz is significantly better than you are, then I don't know if you have a lot of value anymore.
I think Jazz is going to be real interesting to watch. I don't know if
Mhm.
it's this year, it'll be next year, but if he goes cold,
Mhm.
New York, I think could eat him alive.
Oh yeah.
Like they don't like personality, they don't like the flashiness.
Mhm.
You and I were going back and forth about the like stuff he's done already, like green
Yeah.
belt,
Yeah.
like the
He's already making
glove,
a ton of waves.
everything. So if he performs,
Mhm.
I don't think much gets said. But
No,
if he starts falling off, the
it's a
media is
problem.
going to eat him alive, and I don't know how people respond to that. Like Joey Gallo,
He's
like
been in,
disappeared.
oh yeah. He's been in Miami too, where there is not much to worry about there. Like you show up to 500 fans sometimes. So to go from that to this, it'll be interesting. We'll see. He might be a guy that can handle it, but we've never seen it and we'll never know until he gets to it. Uh,
I think he's initially going to thrive, but everyone hits that lull.
yeah.
And getting booed by your home fans, I don't think is something he has probably ever experienced. And I think
No.
that could be
It even kind of fucked
a
with
huge
Stanton a little bit
negative.
when it first, like when he went on that little stretch like early when he got to New York and they all started getting on him, it took him a while to kick it back out of that.
Oh yeah.
It's a tough spot to play, man. Yankees fans are ridiculous. I do want to talk
Yeah,
about
they're
Cleveland because
nuts.
they are the #1 team in the league right now, and I
Yes,
think their
that's the one
two
I skipped.
moves are they're good. Like I don't know what they needed in terms of like bringing in a bunch of people, but I think Lane Thomas is a nice bat to add to that lineup. He's going to give you a little bit
Yeah.
of thump. And then when Cobb gets healthy, that's just a solid guy to have in your rotation.
Or as a long man if you need.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure he's done it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I believe their rotation has also been pretty injury plagued, so I like this deadline for them a lot too.
Yeah, that's. I think
I I think I saw something every single team traded
someone
either traded or traded for a major league player,
really. I guess it kind
which
of
I think
makes sense. Huh?
that's I couldn't tell you last time that happened at a deadline.
No. Yeah, that's fun. We need more of that. I think if that happens every year, you're having a good time at least. Yeah. Currently, they've got.
So
Oof.
there's two ways this could go, I think. I think if you see like the Pittsburghs of the world, the
Mhm.
Kansas Cities kind of fall off and miss the playoffs
Mhm.
by a few games, I think that might shy teams away from it next year.
Yeah.
But if this comes down to middle of September, everyone's in these races, all these teams that bought, everyone's going to be doing this next year.
Yeah.
And it's going to
Absolutely.
be insane.
Yeah. I love it. I hope it stays that way.
And I hope the teams that did like
Mhm.
and versus the teams that didn't, like I hope Boston not doing anything. I hope that hurts them. I hope that hurts the
Yeah.
Mets. I hope that hurts
Yeah.
the Twins. Like the Twins didn't make any sense to me. But
No. I think the Twins? No, they're not. I was gonna say they're pretty comfortably in a spot, but they're really not, I guess, right?
they're in the wild card, right?
Yeah. I think they're wild card 2, if I'm not mistaken. That's not great. That's not enough to sit around and do nothing with. Like you saw what your team was last year, and you weren't good enough to do it. Oh,
Yeah.
what makes you? I don't know. 59 wins. It's better than the West.
They're the ones that's just like get in and kind of see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I'm surprised
I
the
don't
Yankees
like
didn't do
that.
more.
They tried.
Mm.
They wanted Flaherty apparently.
Apparently, they didn't like his
Oh,
medicals.
that's what it was. The
Mm.
medicals. So
Mm.
that's why the return was less from the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Um, hey man, that's on you. Um, start with Correa
Mm.
to the Giants. He's been pretty healthy with the Twins, right? Like
Yep.
sometimes you gotta take a chance on the guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Dodgers were willing to.
Yeah.
Um,
I would love to know what you saw in somebody's medicals mid-season in the season that he's having that would scare you away from taking him for 2 more months. Like what's bad enough in there that you're like, this guy might not make it another week.
I don't know if he goes down in the next month,
And it was a
then
brilliant play. But
but if not, you didn't add pitching to a rotation where Luis Gil is your ace right now.
mhm. In a year where you could argue that Juan Soto is a pure rental right now. Like
Yes.
without
If he resign he is a rental because
Mhm.
they haven't re-signed him to a contract.
No.
If he is becoming a free agent because he is a Boris client,
Mhm.
he is a rental. If they re-sign him, he was still a rental for this
Yeah.
period. You have to win if you're the Yankees. Like
You had to have
I know
treated this like
the
sorry, go ahead.
crochet thing was scary, or fucking Tigers. Um
Scooble.
Scooble.
Yeah.
If I'm the Yankees, I would have put Spencer Jones on the table and
Yeah.
see what you can do.
Yeah. You're the New York
You
Yankees,
gotta
man.
make
Like you
you have to
gotta make
make
the
that
push.
Godfather offer.
Uh-huh. It's you had to have treated this like this is the year we go because this is the only year we're gonna have Juan Soto. Like you can't look at it like,
Yeah.
oh, we might get him back next year, so maybe we can be good in the future. Like this is it. This is your year with Juan Soto. You got to make it count. And I
Like
don't think their deadline said, yeah, we're gonna make it count.
Jazz can be an impact player,
Hmm.
but he's
He wasn't
not
enough, I don't think.
he's not enough to help that lineup.
No,
The rotation's scary.
no,
You listen to like Yankees guys talk, they had one on FT. They wanted bullpen help too. And I don't know if
yeah,
Mark Leiter Jr.'s enough. They wanted
no.
someone to close over Clay Holmes.
Hmm. Yeah, they didn't get it.
They wanted Tanner Scott,
Hmm.
which could be why the bidding got so high with San Diego. But
Yeah.
then if you're the Yankees, you have to be willing to go there.
Hmm. And they just weren't. It's weird. You would have think you'd think as the big one of the biggest franchise, I'd say the biggest franchise in baseball, like you kind of want to get back to your winning ways, but they just haven't
Sure, like
seemed to have.
Volpe could turn it around, DJ could find something again.
I
Rizzo
think
comes
DJ is pretty
back, Ben
washed.
Rice has been good. Their catching tandem can hit a little bit. Glaber's got to turn it around. You've still got Verdugo. I- That's not I'm
That's a
not
lot
banking
of
on
things you got to
that. I need to
ask
get
for.
pieces if I'm that.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
if you're gonna turn it around, you need four guys to turn it around. And I don't know who on that lineup is gonna come in and just turn their game around. I
Yeah.
don't think they have four guys that I have confident in. They're like, you know what? No, this guy's better than what he's shown. Like, I don't think DJ is it anymore.
No.
I don't know. Glaber's streaky at the best of times. Ben Rice is fine. Verdugo is what he is. Like, he's never really been a second half player. Outside of Judge and Soto, like, yeah, Stanton's coming back. Maybe Stanton will come and give you some thump and he won't get hurt.
He's scary, but he's probably a 230 hitter at this point in
Yeah.
his career.
Yeah. I don't think that's enough to get it done.
I think it brings some value in the four hole, I guess.
Yeah.
Like it's a little protection for Judge
Yeah.
and whatnot, but it, it it's not enough to scare me, man.
No.
Because 230, you know what? If there's three guys on base or two guys on
Mhm.
base in a close game, I'm pitching them carefully. But
Yeah. I do
if
really like that top four. Like,
yeah,
if you're leading off, let's just say argument's sake, you lead off Jazz, you go Soto, Judge, Stanton. It's a good four.
it's a great four.
Behind that is where your problems lie. Like you were banking on these four to score you 4 to 5 runs a game.
Yeah. And my point with Stanton is like if he's coming up with no one on base, I'm attacking him all
Mm-hmm.
day.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to.
He strikes out a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can make him chase.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It'll be weird. It's gonna be a fun end of the year. Bottom line here, I think there's a lot of
It's
races that are
exciting.
still up in the air. Even with the Yankees, like Yankees Orioles is still super close. I don't know. It's gonna be
I've
fun.
been watching like a lot of uh random games recently and
Mhm.
like some exciting baseball being played. Like,
Yeah.
is LA playing San Diego right now?
Who?
I think. Does that
Like the
sound right?
Dodgers?
Somebody, I think somebody walked off the Dodgers last night.
I know the Dodgers had a tough series against somebody over the weekend or the week. Where are the Dodgers here? Padres. Yeah, you're right. San Diego.
Yeah, I think they walked him off last night. That was a hell of a game.
Yeah, final in 10, so that makes sense. It's gonna be good, man. I'm here for it. Should be fun. Honestly, back to our Jays. I just hope they're watchable for the rest of the year. I just want to see some
I
decent
think
games.
that's the thing. I think this can be an exciting Jays team as
Hmm.
long as you're not going into it expecting them to win every
No,
game and make a playoff push here.
no.
I think I'm gonna enjoy watching Leo, Barger, uh,
Loperfido.
Loperfido, Clase if he comes up. Like,
Hmm.
let's give these kids some run and see what they can
Hmm.
do
Yeah.
because this is the next wave.
This is where you kind of figure out another one. Like he struggled a lot lately. Davis Schneider. Like you kind of want to see if Davis can work his way out of this and become a heart of the order bat coming into next year. And if not,
Yeah,
I'm never going to dislike him on this team. He's got the thump. And if you have him on the bench, he can come off and be a good piece. But you get to see things like this because he's going to be the option right now. There's nothing else behind him. And you get to see what a lot of these guys can do going forward. And we get to watch Vladimir Guerrero
yep,
Jr. every night. There's a benefit
yep.
to that.
Hopefully, Bo's back soon.
Hmm.
Um, it. I mean, he's still Bo Bichette, right? Like
Yeah.
he led the league in hitting and hits what 3 years straight, 2 years
Yeah.
straight.
I
Like
think this
you don't
calf
just
thing
lose that.
it's a main factor in why this year's been what it's been for him.
It seems like he's had something lingering all year, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it'd be nice to get him fully healthy.
Hmm.
If it takes the rest of the year, it takes the rest of the year.
Sure.
Who cares?
I don't
But
mind
it'd
letting
be
Leo
nice to
run.
get him back and see like uh was it 21 or 22 where he went on that absolute tear from like August on.
It was September. Yeah. It was
You know what I mean?
22.
I just
Yeah.
you want to see that kind of production out of him. Just
Hmm.
go on a run here.
Yeah. Bring your value
I
up, if anything.
that's a I personally I don't want to trade him. I think
Yeah.
Rogers has the money to sign both.
I don't think he
I
wants
think
to stay.
this this team is a hell of a team next year with Bo Bichette in it. You've
Hmm.
still got the rotation pieces. Yes, they're getting older.
I'm
Make the right moves. And
I know a lot of people disagree with it, but I'm fine with using Bo Bichette as an own rental thing where he comes in next year and if he's gonna be Bo Bichette and he's gonna hit 315 with 22 homers, 23 homers on the year, and he's doing what he does, that's fine. And I'll hang on to that as long as the team's competing. Like if you're gonna be in a playoff spot and you're in
yeah,
a division race,
yeah,
you hang on to
exactly.
Bo Bichette and you just soak the
You take
cost
the
of not
draft pick
trading him.
compensation. It is what it is.
Yeah. No, I'm here for that.
Um, the other thing I do want to say, uh, Ross Atkins gets tons of flack.
I did want
I
to talk about this too, actually.
I know I did earlier and I forgot about it. I want to give the guy credit. He had a
Yep.
hell of a deadline in my opinion.
Yep.
I don't think it was just him. Like
No.
James Click, that Houston deal, I'm sure he had
Played a
his
definite
fingerprints
role.
all
Yeah.
over that. I think he's done
I'm
very well with the trades and signings he has made.
mhm.
Obviously, there's been points where he could have made more. We don't know what the budget was like. We
No.
don't know
We don't know a
if a
lot.
guy, that's the thing. You don't know if, like, 2 years ago, I think everyone kind of agreed when they got Kiermaier and
Mm.
Varsho, there seemed like there was another piece, and Bell, there seemed
Mhm.
like there was another piece that was very close to happening and they
Mhm.
thought was going to happen and didn't happen.
they've
Kind of seemed like
tried.
this offseason too.
Yeah, they've tried on so many guys. It's not like that's the one thing I'll always give him credit for is he's the Jays' name are on everybody.
Yeah.
Like it was Snell last year. They were in the trade talks for Soto. They were in there right to the end with Otani. There's a couple of other names. Like they were in there for Jock. There's a
Trading is one thing because that guy's got to come play for you.
Mhm,
That's how that works.
mhm,
But free agents can go wherever they want.
mhm,
Like there is a Canada tax
mhm.
because the
But
dollar's not worth as much,
even on
and they have
trades,
to come to Canada.
you have to have the pieces to give up. And I don't know if we had the pieces to give up for Soto. At the end of the day, New
Yeah,
York would have beat our offer, and it is what it is. But he's done what he can to try and get guys here. It just hasn't worked. I do respect him straight up saying that he goes, we needed to be better, we weren't better, and that's on me. And I'm like, I appreciate
yeah.
you taking the responsibility for that. I know a lot of people are pissed off and still want him fired. I think he's probably saved himself. I think I want to say another year, but I don't know if they'll give him the whole year. But I think he's done a lot
If it
recently.
goes the way it did at the start next year, I think he's
Mhm.
gone. I was just gonna ask you if you think he's back next year. I think he is, and I
Yeah.
think I'd bring him back.
I don't have a
I
pro
think
like at the end of the day, I don't think
something's got to
Ross
change
Atkins
with
is
the
that
player
bad.
development. That's
Uh-huh.
what we've talked about. Like the player development needs work.
Mhm.
But I think the trades and signings we've made, like you can't really fault a guy for that. Like
No,
y-
it's not Ross Atkins'
we've
fault
said it a
that the
bunch of
team fell off a
times.
cliff at
You
the end of
couldn't
the
have
day.
projected Bo Bichette, George Springer, and Vladdy starting the year terrible.
Mhm. Alejandro Kirk being like he was the reason you made that Moreno trade, and now he's been dog shit ever since. Like you're not predicting that.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
I don't know. He's made some weird moves, but I think overall he's done a decent job, and it just hasn't worked. And
I
I
think
don't know.
he's won a lot of the trades he's made. He's
Hmm.
made the for the most part, the free agent signings, he's made the right choice on guys.
Hmm.
Like, man, look at Robbie Ray versus Kevin Goss.
Hmm.
That was amazing. Brandon
Absolutely the
Belt
right
last year,
choice. Yep.
amazing.
Yep.
I don't fall. I love Justin Turner, so I loved him coming here. But
Hmm.
even if I didn't, I don't think I'd fault him for that. Like,
No, it's a good
try and
move.
squeeze the last you can out of that. You can't. Kiermaier worked out perfectly last year. No
Hmm.
one saw this coming this year.
No.
Look at the
Like
bullpen.
everyone's gonna sit here and be like, "Oh, the lineup needed this, the lineup needed that." Yeah, the lineup could have been better. The lineup's not the fucking problem right now. At the end of the day, the bullpen lost four guys that were key guys last year, whether it be injury or just forgetting how to pitch.
Yeah.
And the rotation is not even close to what it was last year. You're not expecting that to happen. And I think if that doesn't happen, we're looking at a team that is at worst in this wild card race right now.
Well, you going into next year, you look at it like we've still got Chad Green, we've
Hmm.
still got Eric Swanson, we've still got Jordan Romano, who were basically your big three this year. Like Jimmy was probably behind those guys at the start of the year.
Yeah.
That's a good like core of a bullpen.
Yeah. You just got to
You've
hope
still got
some of them bounce
Barrios,
back.
you've still got Bassett, you've still got Gossman,
Hmm.
you've got Yariel, you've got a couple prospects now. I think they
Yeah.
make a move. We talked about Kikuchi.
Hmm.
Like you've got the rotation pieces. Sure, they're a year older. You really have to capitalize now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You bring in a
And
couple impact bats. I
yeah.
think they are going to be in real deep on one side.
Yeah. Oh,
I
I
think they
think they'll
have to
absolutely
be.
be in that conversation for sure.
I think they better be in deep in Santander
Yeah.
because that is
Santander,
another
I'd like to
huge
see
thing.
them maybe take a run at Tyler O'Neill. I think that'd be a
One
fun
of
one.
the two of
Canadian
them.
kid.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of names out there. There's a lot of bullpen names out there, and there's a lot of places that can fill holes for us. I think they might be in on Bregman. I don't like it, but with James Click
No,
here and with
but
everything that's going on, I think
could
they're going
be.
to be in that market, which is a position of need. Uh, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. We'll see how the rest of the year goes and see who we have and what we have and how our minor league guys end up making out here. But I don't know. I don't. I'm not off the Ross Atkins train yet, which is crazy to say, but I don't know. I think he can still get the job done. You got anything else you want to say before
Agree
we
with you
take
there
off?
100%.
Yeah.
No,
All right. Well,
We battled through the technical difficulties.
Yeah, we story if it ends up being real tough to listen to, but we made it. We're here. We'll catch you guys again sometime next week. Hopefully the Jays win a game or two in that run. That'd be fun. Cheers.